I've always been very at home on stage. My first solo performance I remember very well at the age of 8. I walked onto the stage and everyone was clapping and smiling and wanted me to be there, and it was just a great feeling. I wasn't in trouble for once. And I walked out with the trombone to play this solo, and of course everyone's there clapping and smiling. I mean, I'm an 8-year-old walking out to do a solo, and I could have walked out, fallen over, dropped the trombone, they would have clapped. And I thought, this is all right, I'm going to keep doing this. It just felt like home the first time, and it still does. And I've always had a bit of a feeling, not that my life is a disaster by any means, but I've always had the feeling the one really safe place is stage. And when you get off stage, all sorts of things can and sometimes do go wrong, but on stage everything's fine. It's great to have a sanctuary like that. It's just, I guess it's a little unusual that your sanctuary is something you share with thousands of people, but that's cool. It gets difficult travelling all the time and recording and writing and so on. So, I mean, I'm very portable. I you know, carry gear with me on the road to write. Just take the power book and boom, I've got my charts all there. No more carrying pen and paper anymore and trying to, you know, think of it in your room. I guess technology has changed that, because now just with a power book sitting on an aeroplane, I can hear all the instruments. If I write on the page, you know, with the mouse, if I click in a note on oboe, you got the headphones on, you hear an oboe play that note. I mean, the technology is great like that. You can just hear the whole chart take shape bit by bit as you're writing it, which is kind of cool. And unlike what some people think, where technology might get in the way and interfere with your writing or interfere with music, I find it enhances it. I mean, it's a much more live, much more organic process to write, if I can put it that way, using a computer, because you hear it as you write it. You hear it played as you write it. It's almost like having the band there going, you play this note, you play that note, you know, rather than just writing on a page and saying, I'll have to wait till I hand this out before we hear it back. If I get inspired to write, it's great. It can become a slog if someone says, well, we need a chart for this and you've got to have it done by such and such a date. That can be a drag until you get inspired. I must say, though, that in the end, you always get inspired before you finish, because you just can't write if you don't. It's just how long you're going to wait before it happens. No, sorry, I'm at the Port Moresby Travel Lodge that night, yeah. No, it's a big gig. You know, you got to think of your career, man. Okay.
Who's that?
Quincy.
Oh.
Yeah. Keeps calling.
MD?
You know. Yeah, Quincy MD. Oh, you thought I meant the musician? No.
Jack Klugman.
Jack Klugman calls me all the time. Yeah. I'll sit up here, and sometimes when you're compiling something or doing something, there's sort of a waiting time, or you're downloading things or whatever. So that's why they're sitting on the stand there. Pick up the guitar, play it's the download music. I play download music on guitar. You know, I'm going to get a gig eventually, probably in some sort of large office, you know, for some big company, and I'll just sit in the middle of one of those rooms where all the people at the desk with their computers, and I play the download music while people are downloading things. Anyone download something, you know, that's the gig I'm headed for once I finish all this trumpet nonsense, you know. My first gig was over at the Royal Motor Yacht Club, right opposite. I used to put on my dinner suit, all of 14 years old, jump in the tinny with the outboard, the 7-horsepower Mercury, and away I'd go across the bay. I thought I was James Bond in the boat, you know, with the trumpet and the gig bag on the way to the gig. I must have looked hilarious. Oh yeah, live elevator, but I do that on the bass. You know, you don't play guitar. You don't play guitar in an elevator. You know why, of course, because guitar's horizontal and it's people in the way, right? Double bass is vertical. You can stand in the corner of the elevator and still get lots of people in. You know, it's a lot of technicalities with this work, but I've been doing it for many years now, and I'm, you know, I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I'm experienced. next thing I want to tick off in my life is lunch. It's getting late. Now, it's funny, no matter what stage I'm at or what you've just completed, there's usually that feeling when you finish a project, it's done. But the more I go on, the less I get that feeling, because it's just one thing on a list. And I just always feel like I'm just starting. I feel like this is just the warm-up, like wait till you see what's coming next. And that's what I say to myself as much as to anyone else. I say to myself, wait till you see what you're going to come up with next, though. And there's no sort of momentous, like, these are the things in my life I want to achieve. It's like, no, I've got a list here of stuff that's got to be done today, you know, and this month and this year. And I just keep slogging away at it, because I got, you know, and you get ideas. And you go, oh, that's a great idea, I've got to do that. It goes on the list. It's just never going to end, is it? It always feels like that. And I used to long for closure, coming to the end and going, I've done everything now that I had planned. And I've given that up now. I've realised that that's actually not that desirable. It's the journey that's the fun, not arriving. I mean, I don't want to arrive anywhere now. We'd have to get off the boat. It's a matter of getting a really good bass drum sound, you know? I've been thinking of putting an album out called Just the Bass Drum from Scream Machine. Not really. Sometimes when you're mixing, you listen to it and it sounds good, but you go, it needs something. What does that need? And the answer's nearly always the same. It just needs 5 trumpets. The lady who lives next door particularly likes this guitar solo, so I mixed it about 1 or 2 in the morning, and you know, she knows it very well. Now with this, of course, you've got to be really careful to get a great sound, because it's me, you know. In contrast to what I said before, when you listen to this and you say, what does it need? You know, I mean, nothing. Maybe that's not true. I mean, can there possibly be any such thing as too much trumpet, you know? You know, when I listen to that, it still hurts just a little bit. I don't mean my ears, I mean my lips. All together now.